guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude, back with the Split Decision Podcast, episode number 34. It is the 1 year anniversary of the podcast, here with my brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek. Fight Geek, it's the 1 year anniversary, baby. How you doing?
Feeling good, man. 1 year down. Hopefully many more to come. Thanks to everybody who supported us over the first year. We couldn't have hung around without all the positive vibes and support, so thank you all very much. Happy to be here. Happy to talk UFC 241.
Yep, absolutely. And before I get into a breakdown of what's to come today, I just want to expand on that a little bit real fast. Thank you to everyone for making our first year such an amazing year. Our last episode just broke our record for listens. We really cannot say thank you enough for all of the support. I can't believe it's been a year with Fight Geek. The time flies when you're having fun, I guess. Wow, that was really corny.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so okay, jumping into it. So before I ask my quintessential first opening question to you, Fight Geek, here's a quick breakdown for the listeners of what's on tap for today. First, we've got our UFC Uruguay Recap. After that, we're moving on to the UFC 241 preview and picks. That is the card of the year as far as I'm concerned. I cannot wait to jump into that one. And after that, it's my favorite section of all, listener questions and more. So, Fight Geek, here is my question to start off the show. Valentina Shevchenko had a dominating title defense against Liz Carmouche this weekend, but I was shocked looking at social media. Some people seem to take it personally that Valentina did not go for the finish more aggressively. And I wanted to quickly read out Brian Kelleher, who, as you know, is a UFC bantamweight at this time. He said, he tweeted out, "Must be nice to make title fight money and not even have to deal with the threat. Just coast 5 rounds to safe victory and get paid. Hashtag blessed." And I thought that was...
Hashtag jealous? Oh, sorry.
Yes. No, seriously. I mean, you could hear the jealousy in that tweet.
Yeah, I don't know if I necessarily feel that way, you know. She was landing spinning back fists. She was the one coming forward. She was the one controlling the center. I think most fight analysts understand that she's a counter striker, so unless someone comes in there and kind of pushes her, you're not going to see a lot of action out of Valentina. Jessica Ai, for instance, was a great opponent because she likes to come forward. She likes to strike and put herself in harm's way. And when you do that versus Valentina, she can knock you out with a head kick. But when you fight like Liz Carmouche did, which is basically come in there to cash a paycheck and take as little damage as possible over 25 minutes, which was one of the more bizarre title fight game plans I've seen in a very long time, I don't really think you can put it on Valentina. I think she did what she had to do to retain her belt versus an opponent who almost would not engage with her. So it was kind of a lose-lose in that sense, but no, I don't necessarily feel like she didn't go for the kill. She was cruising. She was landing quite a bit, honestly. So I don't know. What about you?
You know, I agree with a lot of what you said, and I disagree ever so slightly. And this is how I disagree. I got a lot of heat for this on social media. I said that I thought that Liz Carmouche did a okay job. And
okay job at what, though?
At surviving Valentina Shevchenko for 5 rounds.
Right, but did she offer any offense?
In the first round, she did. Now, after that...
Yeah, single shots and stuff like that.
She went for head... Wait, she almost caught Valentina with head kicks, but she was too slow, as is everyone. Everyone's too slow for Valentina.
Yeah, Valentina technically is almost as clean as it gets. I mean, she was pulling her leg away on the low kick. She was ducking the high kick. She was seeing everything coming. So I agree with you there.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I think. Because, you know, a lot of people are saying Valentina's a boring champion. And, you know, I mean, really, they were just bashing her. They were
boring because she has one bad fight. This is like the recency bias in MMA. I mean, she just almost killed Jessica Ai 2 fights ago. She almost murdered Cachoeira before that. It's like, and now she's a boring fighter because she has one decision. I don't know if I agree with that at all. She's had some very impressive performances.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe I'm crazy, Fight Geek. I did not think this was one of the worst title fights of all time. I honestly didn't
I
because
think it was the worst female title fight of all time for sure.
it was a highly tactical fight from Valentina.
It was very tactical, but the challenger didn't come to challenge. She came to survive. So it wasn't a true fight in my opinion. It was like a glorified sparring session.
Okay, look, the truth is you're not wrong, but as Michael Bisping said on the commentary very wisely, I thought it's very easy for us to say go and move forward and attack Liz.
Absolutely.
It's easy for us to say, but guess what? Every time Liz moved forward, you know what happened? She got knocked down. She got knocked down twice. Even though the UFC stats guys said there were 0 knockdowns, don't get me started on that. But
did she sign the contract to fight her or not? I mean, I don't want to hear excuses. She's scared to close distance. Okay, well, if you're scared to close distance, why'd you take the fight?
I mean, again, easy for us to say.
For sure. But to make any kind of case that she did anything productive offensively in that fight is far-fetched in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I mean, truthfully, I can't disagree with you too much. I just think that Valentina...
I didn't think she threatened Valentina at all. I think she was bouncing around in and out. She had a game plan. I think she was looking for her range, but her punches were falling short by inches. I mean, she was pretty far off the mark. I don't think Valentina was threatened much at all. I think this was a, you know what I'll say? This was a GSP-esque title defense.
Yes. And let me play devil's advocate really quickly here. I'm not strongly disagreeing with you. I'm really not. But to play devil's advocate, Liz landed more total strikes than Valentina. That is an official stat.
Which is just absurd to think about.
I know, and I know that doesn't change much, folks, okay? So don't get all up in arms. I'm not saying that Liz won a round or got close. She didn't. But she landed more strikes, and I thought in the first round, at least, she made it very close. I gave Valentina the first.
I thought her mobility was her best part of her game plan to keep her alive and not get hit. She just never figured out a way to implement any... I guess she landed a lot of small strikes, but she never even came close to putting her in danger.
Yeah, I think that ultimately what it comes down to is this. Valentina is a counter striker, and she only works with what her opponents give her, and that's it. Because she's not... One thing Valentina will not do is make a foolish mistake and give you an opening to win.
100%.
She'll never
do
that.
Arguably the most tactical champion out right now.
Yes, absolutely. And the truth is, I enjoyed that fight, and a lot of people gave me some crap. But
I liked it too, but I'm a big Shevchenko fan. I think skill for skill, she's as good as it gets in the world right now. I mean, did you see her stuffing the takedowns? Her technique was perfect. Like I said, she was pulling her leg away on the low leg kicks. I mean, she didn't look like she had a mark on her face after the fight. You know, she's in perfect shape. Cardio's not a question. I mean, I think she's as technically sound as any fighter, man or woman, on the planet right now.
Absolutely. And, I can really appreciate an extremely tactical, clever counterpuncher who never gives their opponent anything.
Exactly. And when it comes to the challenger coming to take some champion's belt, they got to bring something to the table other than surviving. Agreed?
Yeah, yes, I agree. But in the case of Valentina, look, no one's surviving. I mean, many people are not surviving. JJ survived, Joanna Jędrzejczyk survived, and now Liz Carmouche survived. But, that's...
But I felt like even though she beat JJ, at least Joanna was coming forward and attempting offense and had the threat of hurting her. I didn't even feel the threat of her being hurt this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. So, okay, So wait, last question here. Is Valentina a boring champion or not?
Absolutely not.
I agree. Okay, so let's move on now down the card. This to me was the fight of the night. Vicente Luque defeats Mike Perry via a very controversial split decision, 28-29, 29, 28, 29, 28. Let me start off with this, Fight Geek. How did you score that fight?
To be honest with you, I did score it 29-28 Perry.
So did I.
But
so did I.
In retrospect, he took a metric ton of damage. So I know it's kind of strange to say that because it's the like you score for each round. He obviously lost that fight.
What do you mean he obviously lost that fight?
Well, he's the one who left with a broken nose and a quart of blood missing. So I would say in real life, he is the loser of that fight, even though he may have won 2 rounds to 1. You get what I'm saying?
I mean, a little bit, but not entirely. If he won 2 rounds and lost 1 and it wasn't a 10-8, then he should have won the fight. No?
Within the sport, yes, I thought he should have won the fight. But if you take the sport away, he lost that fight. Does that make better sense?
Yeah, it does. And by the way, I do have to acknowledge, because people are probably thinking it and screaming it right now as they listen to this, the new unified rules do say that damage is, one of the judging criteria. And
do you think that third round could have been a 10-8, considering a flying knee broke his nose sideways and he lost a gallon of blood?
Fight Geek, I gave the third to Perry.
Oh, well, you're insane.
Okay, wait, let's talk about that quickly. Perry got the takedown, and then I was hearing a lot of people saying things
got
like...
the takedown and then...
After what? One, okay, so what?
Choked.
So what? Luque wins the round because of one knee? One knee.
I would say so.
Perry gets the takedown, and then I heard some people arguing that you should get credit for submission attempts that aren't successful. That's
I don't know about
crazy.
all that, but Perry was, first of all, let's just say Mike Perry is just, he's the savage we all love to watch. Obviously, his stock's even up after that loss.
Agreed.
But, I mean, I don't know how you could say he was tactically winning that third round. Honestly.
Well, it's simple. Luque landed one good knee. Obviously Perry was bleeding a lot more and showed more damage outwardly, but he got...
what I was gonna say, sorry, you don't think that lesser fighters tap right there?
Oh, absolutely they do. Absolutely.
Yeah. So we're basically saying that I would say 9 out of 10 fighters tap with that broken nose and that deep of a choke, right?
Okay. That doesn't mean Perry lost.
Luque is incredibly close to finishing that fight right there. So I'm saying whenever you're judging the third round and you're talking about who's coming closest to finish, okay, Perry might have landed some better strikes on the feet before he got kneed in the face and then almost choked unconscious. Just because he's superhuman savage, he makes it through that situation. I don't see how you can give him that round. But I don't know. That's controversial in my opinion. I didn't see a lot of people giving Perry the third round. But
I saw a fair amount. And by the way, there's no way that Luque won the third 10-8. That is comical.
Well, obviously, but I was just asking a question there to see if you thought that at all.
Yeah, and by the way, just to quickly address this new unified rules, aspect of damage being a criteria, I really dislike that, and here's why. Can we admit that people get cut some people get cut more easily than others? Some bleed more easily.
Can I just ask you, was that the worst broken nose you've ever seen in a combat event?
It's the worst broken nose I've seen in a non-combat event, in a combat event, in a war zone. I've never seen anything like it.
Okay, here's my follow-up. Do you think Mike Perry's career is in jeopardy considering that he does not have much head movement? He likes to get in slugfests, and his nose is going to be just probably very prone to breaking in the future, a la Rory McDonald, except Rory McDonald's much more technical defensively. Mike Perry relies on being able to outlast the damage. I think that's going to be troublesome for him. What do you think?
Yeah, see, and it's so hard to say this because of what look, here's the truth. I thought that Perry looked 10 times better than he did 2 years ago. Head movement, We joke about it. I know
But
he got
there
tagged.
was not a ton of head movement. I'd
No,
say
there
where I
was. There
saw
was
his,
in the opening
where
few rounds.
his improvement to me was his pace and his ability to keep throwing power shots and not go crazy and get winded. I don't know.
He was
There
moving
were
his head and making Luque miss a lot in the beginning, at least.
early, and then he got somewhat tired, and he was very flat-footed. I almost tweeted about it. You're not going to convince me that he was not flat-footed. He was getting
Well, he's
lit
always
up.
flat-footed.
Yes, and now he's going to have. I mean, can we go on the record as saying a severely broken nose?
Yeah, of course.
So if Rory McDonald still has problems with his nose years later, and Rory McDonald's a very technical defensive fighter, how do you think Mike Perry's career will be affected moving forward? I've been thinking about this all week. I want to know what you think.
I mean, I think it's going to, I think it's going to affect Mike. But we are seeing, whether we want to admit it or not, we are seeing improvements in his fight IQ. Absolutely we are.
Oh, for sure. But I had already always told you we would see that. He's very young. But now he's taken, even most of his losses, he's taken a lot of damage. And this time he took a ton of damage.
Yeah.
So, I'm a huge Mike Platinum Perry fan. I love his style. I love watching him fight, but it's a little concerning for a guy. What's he? He's only like 27, isn't he?
I mean, he's very young. He's somewhere around that.
I mean, that was the equivalent of like a head-on car crash where your face hits the windshield. That was a bad broken nose.
It was. The good news is his extremely awesome dance with Platinum Princess before the fight, just made everything okay.
You thought that was extremely awesome, huh?
I was a big fan.
I'd like to see a little more focus when you're getting ready to cage fight against someone like Vicente Luque, who's a pretty savage striker in his own right.
By the way, Platinum is 27 years old. I think you said that.
And he's taken quite a bit of damage in his losses. So it'll be interesting to watch moving forward. I don't think Mike Perry should take a fight for about a year. He's going to have no contact on his nose for 6 months. And then you'd want to really let all that heal the correct way. So.
Yeah. Moving on real fast, and I want to fly through this fight. Garagori defeats Umberto Bandone via unanimous decision, 30-27 across the board. I didn't take a ton away from this fight.
It was a fun fight for a local guy. I can see why they put him third on the main card, is because they wanted to make sure the pop was there for the co-main and the main, right. All the local fans. So, yeah, a little local marketing ploy. I thought he was a fun, exciting fighter, exciting fight. So that was a nice little showcase. Interesting to see where he goes. I think he's 13-0 now. So
yeah, let's move on. Light heavyweight. Volkan No Time Ozdemir defeats Ilir Latifi via KO punches. We were both right about this, by the way. In the second round, 4 minutes and 31 seconds into the second round. What did you make of this?
When did I don't remember last week. Did I pick second round or third round?
Well, I just know that we both picked Volkan. I think I picked second round.
Yeah, it was. I know I saw a lot of people saying they saw a ton of improvement in Volkan. I don't know if I saw a ton of improvement, but he did pace himself, kind of like Mike Perry, in my opinion. He didn't gas himself out when he saw it. He landed what was there. He's a big, strong guy, so if he lands enough, he's going to wear on you, and I think that's exactly what he did to Latifi. He just landed enough to where Latifi got gassed out, and then he was really severely slowed down, and that's when you saw the finish, when he was able to land super clean. So good win. Tough loss for Latifi, but good win for Ozdemir. I liked it. What about you?
Absolutely. I thought that this was possibly the best performance of Volkan's career. I know a lot of people would roll their eyes and say, what about those fast knockouts like Jimmy Manoa, et cetera, et cetera. And what I liked about this Volkan, again, you kind of nailed it. He didn't gas quickly. He was actually strategic. And by the way, not to take too much away from Volkan's performance, but was Ilir Latifi drugged? He was literally out on his feet from exhaustion halfway through the second round. What was going on?
I just think that Volkan has incredibly heavy hands, and Latifi early on in the fight was up against the cage getting battered. He was getting beat on. He was getting his arms hit, his head hit, his gut hit. I just think Volkan did a good job for 205 as far as pace goes. He put some good pace on Latifi, who, like you said, he did seem like he was stuck in the mud. He never got going, and then
Never.
you don't let it. You can't take 50 to 100 strikes from Volkan Oezdemir. He's a big, powerful, strong guy. Eventually, that's just going to zap you of all your juice.
Yeah, last thing before we move on from this fight. One thing I really liked in the post-fight interview, did you catch that Volkan said that he had won his last fight against Dominic Reyes? Because
Yes.
I loved it, and you know what? So true. Dominic Reyes is such a phony, such a pretender.
You never miss an opportunity to say that.
No, I'm sorry. He's such a pretender, and he's such a fake. And I love that Volkan told the truth there, because he did win that fight.
Well, we'll see how he does versus Chris Weidman, and then you can.
I already told you, if it's Reyes versus Jones, I may have to rooting for Jones.
It's that bad.
It's that bad. Yeah.
The guy who has a controversial split decision victory over some guy who you're not even that big a fan of is almost more hated than you by the guy that you spend half of your life discrediting. It makes no sense.
I may have to root for Jones if it's Jones Reyes.
If you ever root for Jones, your whole thing's a whole lie.
That's not true.
It's all a lie if you ever.
Oh, don't worry. I hate Jones plenty, but I hate Reyes a lot. So
that's strange. All right, let's keep it moving.
Middleweight, Rodolfo Vieira, the black belt hunter, keeps his name, defeating Oscar Pichota via submission, arm triangle choke, 4 minutes and 26 seconds into the second round. I was very impressed. What'd you think?
I think it was pretty expected, actually. I wasn't overly impressed.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, you know what? I thought he gassed early. I think both of them gassed early. I think both of them showed sloppy striking. So obviously the jiu-jitsu is amazing, but if he's going to go higher in that division, he's going to run into guys who can stop takedowns and keep him on the feet, and I think that'll be trouble for him. He did not look like a super fluid striker, in my opinion.
All right. I mean, you're talking about someone who's undefeated, who is facing someone who was, I believe, 9-1.
No, I'm not saying I don't like him. I think he's great. I think his jiu-jitsu is great. I think he's athletic, but they were both moving pretty slow pretty early in that fight, and their striking was sloppy, in my opinion. So all I'm saying is, unless that improves, he may be a one-trick pony as he goes up towards the more elite guys in that division.
Okay, all right, so we'll keep it moving. Featherweight, Enrique Barzola defeats Bobby Moffett via split decision. One thing that I did, and I tweeted this during the fight, these two fought at such an incredible pace, my jaw dropped. I mean, I'm not even saying that I was impressed with either fighter, because I really wasn't that impressed, but I was impressed with the gas tanks.
Yeah, they definitely threw down. That's one thing you can say about that fight.
Yeah. So we can move on. I don't have too much to say about Barzola. Welterweight prelims. Gilbert Burns defeats Alexei Kunchenko via unanimous decision. What'd you make of that? Nah, I didn't think it was too much.
Yeah, I wasn't super impressed, but Gilbert Burns took that fight on short notice. Seemed to really be affected by the low leg kicks. Again, Kunchenko on the feet, not much to write home about, was eating uppercuts and getting tagged up quite a bit, and I guess it was just only a matter of time. Gilbert Burns, I picked him, so I was more status quo for me than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's move on to a fight with a winner who I was impressed with. And I'm sorry if I butchered this name. Cyril Gain defeats Rafael Pessoa Nunez via submission arm triangle choke in the first round, 4 minutes and 12 seconds into the first round. And I believe we disagreed on this pick in last episode, and I said never pick against someone who is, essentially a student of Ngannou, and that proved to be true. What did you make of Gain?
He certainly looks the part. Striking, is kind of his MO, so I was super impressed that when it went to the ground, he was so quick and precise, especially against a guy who had been touted as the better grappler. So I picked wrong there, but yeah, I was impressed. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. He's only 4-0, so I think it's a slow build with him. But other than that, yeah, I'll be interested to see what's next.
So I've got an idea I want to throw at you and hear your opinion. Gain versus Greg Hardy next. What do you
Oh,
think?
wow, that's so outside the box of you. Um,
Do you guys hear how condescending? This is what I have to deal with,
again,
guys.
no, I don't see that happening.
Wait, why are you so dismissive of a fascinating matchup?
Well, just because one guy's 4-0 and the other guy just made his
Oh,
debut.
another guy's 5-1. Oh no, how insane of me!
Yeah, but we've seen him like 3 times. First of all, Greg Hardy can beat Gain. It's possible. So why wouldn't you have Gain on a little slower build, in my opinion? I don't know. I don't think he needs to start taking name guys right all of a sudden. He just beat this Pessoa guy.
Greg Hardy's a name. Wow, you're giving a lot of respect to Mr. Hardy.
Oh.
Greg Hardy's a big name guy. He's not even ranked.
I just disagree with you, Phil. I don't think that's a great matchup for him next. I would take a little slower build with Gain. Is that it? Or Gane? I don't know.
Okay, women's strawweight. Marina Rodriguez defeats Tisha Torres via unanimous decision, 30-27, 30-27, 30-26. That puts Tisha Torres, who was undefeated a little over a year and a half ago, she is now on a 4-fight losing streak. What do you make of this?
Yeah, I mean, she's small, so she's at a disadvantage. I don't think they're horrible losses that she's suffering. She's obviously losing. Before this fight, she had lost to Weili Zhang, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, right, and Jessica Andrade. So all 3 of those, current champ, former champ, and title challengers, her last 3 losses before this. So I don't know if she should necessarily be cut, but she's certainly fallen back into that gatekeeper status where she can kind of test the girls who are coming in from Invicta to kind of see if they're worthy or not. That's kind of what I think.
Okay, so I'm gonna do something outside the box because we had a listener question that was just directly related to this. So I want to give him a shout out and address this now. This is Glitch. It's at MMA Port at MMAPORT. He said Tisha Torres is now 0-4 since 2018. What's next for her career? So who is next? What is next for Tisha Torres specifically, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, since I know the bottom end of that division so well off the top of my head,
I love making Fight Geek look stupid with my weird questions last minute.
What is next for Tisha Torres? The stuff I've been pondering all week. Let's see.
Hey, some people care about her. Come on.
Like I said, I see her as someone who tries out the new talent who comes over from other organizations. I see her as a gatekeeper at this point. I think she has some deficiencies that is not going to allow her to beat the elites, but I still think she's technically sound enough and experienced enough to give young fighters a good test. So that's kind of what I see.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking at the rankings. By the way, they were just updated. Marina Rodriguez went from no ranking to number 10 at strawweight.
That actually makes Tisha look better. She just lost to number 10.
Well, Tisha Torres just went down 5 spots to 13. She is ahead of Karolina Kowalkiewicz and Courtney Casey. So, do you see a matchup with either of them being appealing?
Courtney Casey would be big, and on a 4-fight losing streak. I don't know if you can give her Karolina. Isn't Karolina on a 3-fight losing streak?
That sounds right. You're always asking me questions our non-existent assistant should know.
Because that could be a 4-fight losing streak versus a 3-fight losing streak. Loser leaves match right there that could make sense.
All right, very true. Okay, let's move on. Flyweight bout.
Even though I would never want Karolina to leave, personally.
Thank you for saying. I actually appreciate you saying that because I was a little disturbed. She's cute as hell. I'm sorry. I'm biased, guys. Okay, moving on. Flyweight. Bontaran defeats Pieva Franzal via TKO doctor stoppage in the first round, 2 minutes and 56 seconds. Weirdly, I mean, I guess I was impressed, but Bontaran's opponent wasn't a big deal. So, what do you take away from that?
To be honest with you already took away more than I did. That cut was nasty, and that's all I know about that fight.
Yeah, okay, moving
So
on.
we got UFC 241. Let's move past all this.
Chris Gutierrez defeats Geraldo de Freitas via split decision. I don't think there's anything to say there.
It was a fun, sloppy fight.
Yep. Lightweight. Alex De Silva Coelho defeats Rodrigo Vargas via unanimous decision. Lightweight. I don't think there's much to take away there. The first few fights were not good.
Let's keep it moving.
Women's flyweight. Veronica Macedo. Is it Macedo or Machado?
It's Macedo, I think.
Macedo defeats Poliana Viana via submission armbar. 1 minute and 9 seconds in the first round. I was impressed with Veronica. I was impressed.
Absolutely. She submitted the more accomplished jiu-jitsu fighter in short time, so I think that was a shocker off the bat. So it was cool to see always whenever you see an upset that way.
Absolutely. I'd like to see a fight, possibly a ranked opponent for her next. But okay, all right. So is that everything we'd like to cover on UFC Uruguay?
Yes, please.
Okay. Moving on to UFC 241 preview and picks. And before I get into them, I just want to say, and I want your opinion on this. To me, UFC 241 is such a big card. It almost feels like it is physically shaking. I can feel the rumble. I know
That's just because you're a DC fan, but yes,
I just moved to Cali, but it's not an earthquake. It's
not Conor versus Khabib, but it is a big card.
Is it the biggest of the year? I think it is.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head the whole year.
Is it bigger than 239? That's the only one that would even get close.
Throw the headliner out one more time.
Jones versus Santos for 239.
Oh, yeah. That's much bigger implication-wise, and there's the return of a Diaz, the return of Yoel Romero, so yes, this is much bigger than that.
Yeah, it's the biggest card of the year.
So sure, I'll give you that.
Okay, all right, so I cannot wait. Guys, as you know, the one fighter really that I'm biased about and that maybe does creep into my picks, I try not to be biased, it is Daniel Cormier, so I just want to say that off the bat. The complicated part here is that my second favorite heavyweight legitimately is Stipe. So look, Stipe fans, you guys are all enemies for a week, F you, but I love you guys at the same time. I love Stipe, but I have to make you an enemy for a week. Fight Geek, I'll let you start it off. Who you got in this fight?
So, yeah, this is the good guy Super Bowl. I mean, both of these guys are great.
The good guy Super Bowl. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, gotta take DC here, man. I just think DC is just such a proven commodity in what he wants to do and how he wants to do it. He's gonna come forward. He's very confident, especially with the last results. I do see this being a much more competitive matchup. I think Stipe will be much sharper. I think Stipe will be on high alert. This will probably be the best Stipe we've seen in a long time. But I'm still taking DC, and I'm actually going to take DC via split decision. I think this is going to be a grueling fight with two heavyweights who have cardio.
Okay, fascinating. I really agree with a lot of that. As you guys know, look, DC, he's my favorite fighter. We all know that. Besides Uriah Faber, I won't choose between them, so don't even make me. Faber got me into the sport. They're very different. They're in different divisions. Don't even try to make me choose. But DC is truly my favorite fighter. So I take this with a grain of salt. I may be a little biased despite my attempts not to be. Having said that, I really agree with a lot of what Fight Geek just said. I know how good Stipe is. This fight is terrifying for DC. It is extremely sketchy. I am going to be on the edge of my seat, biting my nails like a nervous, anxiety-ridden person like I am. And I think that it's going to be a grueling 5-round affair. But where I disagree with Fight Geek is on the decision. I think it will be a decision. I think it will be a unanimous decision, not a split decision for DC. Having said that, Stipe has a huge chance, and I'm very nervous.
Yeah, that's the intrigue. I mean, this will be the best Stipe we've seen. We've never really seen DC be chinny, so it's hard to really like predict him getting knocked out. So other than that, I still see DC just being a little better with the fight IQ and just a little more of a grinder, and that's why I picked the way I did. But yeah, for sure, can't wait.
All right, okay. Moving on to the co-main event, and what a co-main event it is. Anthony Showtime Pettis versus Nate Diaz, the one and only Nate Diaz. You haven't seen him since UFC 202, folks, and he's
Right.
back.
In this fight, it really has no implications at 170 pounds. Neither guy's anywhere near sniffing title implications. But this is the exact fight reason I love MMA, because who cares about all that? Just put Pettis and Diaz in a cage and let us watch, you know?
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, so you made the DC Miocic pick first, so I'm going first here. I've been thinking a lot about it. I really have been. And the more I think about this fight, the more it becomes at least clear to me, and I'm prepared to eat some serious crow on this one, guys, so make sure you give it to me if I'm wrong. I think that this is Showtime Pettis' fight to lose. I think he's going to get the W. He may finish Diaz, but I think in 3 rounds it's more likely a unanimous decision. And the last thing I'll say before I hand it over to you, Fight Geek, is that I saw the Brett Okamoto Nate Diaz interview on ESPN. Not sure if you caught that. And Diaz looked weird. He didn't really look that fit or that ready. And Showtime's been looking great. And yeah, I got Pettis.
I think first of all, that's called stoned, Phil. That's what. Otherwise, they're both going to be at 170, so Nate's carrying a little extra weight. That's what you're seeing. He's obviously been sparring. He has a black eye from sparring.
Yep, I saw that.
Not only that, but Nate is 34 years old and he has 30 career MMA fights where he takes a lot of damage. So I mean, as he ages, the damage he's taken over his career will become more evident, which is what you're seeing. But no, he looked like Nate Diaz, and he's going to be fresh. The fact that you're considering Pettis finishing him is laughable, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
I mean, Pettis has ran out of gas against Holloway. He ran out of gas against Ferguson.
He
ran
finished
out of gas
Wonder
against
Boy.
Poirier.
Finished Wonder Boy. He finished Wonder Boy.
He was running out of gas versus Wonder Boy, and then he landed a Hail Mary with his eyes closed. What are you talking about?
That's called the Showtime Superman Punch.
I get it, and I love Showtime, and I love this fight. But Anthony Showtime Pettis, don't get it twisted, was handpicked by Nate Diaz because Nate Diaz knows he can drown him into deep water and beat him.
It's only a 3-round fight.
It doesn't matter. Anthony Pettis has cut to 145 before. He's up to 170. His body is all over the place over the last 6 years. He does not have the cardio or the longevity he used to. I mean, I'm not saying he's a bad fighter. He's an amazing fighter skill-wise, but I just think that we've seen he fades much faster than he used to. And if you fade fast versus someone like Nate Diaz, that's not a good thing. Nate Diaz gets stronger, and he's only been training with extra weight for the last 3 years. I think this will be a great Nate Diaz that we see. And I'm taking Nate Diaz. It sucks that it's a 3-round fight because if it was a 5-round fight, I think Nate would stop Pettis, but I'm going to take Nate in a split decision here.
All right, I got Pettis via unanimous decision for the record. Okay.
And I can't wait. I love this fight.
I can't wait.
Fight of the year for me.
I can't wait. Moving on to the, I almost want to call it the co-main because it's such a sick fight. Yeah. Yoel Romero versus Barcina.
This is the fight, if you know someone who's never watched a fight before, have them watch these two Greek gods fight each other because it's going to be an action fight and they're going to look the part. If you have someone who's never seen a fight, have them watch this.
Yoel Romero versus Paulo Costa. There's bad blood. It's a grudge fight. They have both, they do not like one another, and it's going to be so awesome. I'm very curious. It is your turn to go first. Who you got?
Well, I'm going to take Yoel Romero here by second round stoppage.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I think Costa's never been in there like an animal like Romero. I think Costa hasn't even been past the first round but one time in his UFC career. Off the top of my head, I may be wrong. But I think he's going to get winded, and I think when he gets winded, Yoel will land something explosive and sudden, put him in trouble, and finish him.
Wow. So that's okay. That's a fascinating pick. I have been so tempted to pick Paulo Costa in this fight. I can't lie to you. I've been very tempted. I'm thinking Father Time is undefeated. When will Yoel finally show his age? Will it be this fight? But I just don't think it will be this fight. I just don't. And I have got Yoel Romero winning by TKO in the third round. At the end of the third.
I see around the end of the second TKO, honestly. I see him dropping him and then him being exhausted and getting ground and pounded out.
It's such a fascinating fight.
But like I said, it's going to be explosive in the first. It's going to be clash of just explosive power. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait for that fight. It's going to be a spectacle, that fight.
Absolutely. Okay, moving on. Gabriel Benitez versus Sadiq Youssef. I have no idea why this is the fourth fight on the card. Okay, it's my turn really quickly. I've got Youssef winning by second round stoppage. What about you?
Yeah, we'll keep it quick. I am similar. I have Youssef by stoppage. I think Youssef is just super sharp on the feet. His striking is amazing. He's very athletic, one of my favorite prospects, so I am expecting him to land heavy. I'll take second round KO.
All right, moving on. The end of the main card, middleweight, Derek Brunson versus Ian Heinisch. I believe it's your turn to go first.
And I like this fight. I think this is a sneaky, super interesting fight. But I am going to take Ian Heinisch by third round submission.
Wow. You got, okay.
Yep. I think Derek Brunson, who has been very awkward in his last few losses, the way he's tried to implement his offense, he also is not known for having great cardio. I think we've seen Heinisch in a couple kind of drag him out, kind of wars in his last few fights, so I know he likes to get it gritty. I think he'll get Brunson to the ground, wear him out, and eventually just tire him out so much that he's able to finish him on the ground.
Yeah, I'm also taking Heinisch, but I believe that he is going to win via, ready? Split decision. Or as Jim Assoon has told me, when we say split decision, he recommends that we say via split decision podcast.
Well, then if Jim said it, it's law.
Exactly. Jim, you're a god. But yeah, I've got Heinisch by split decision. Okay, moving on.
All right, keep it going.
Kama Worthy versus Devontae Smith, lightweight fight. I believe it is my turn, and I have got Devontae Smith taking this one. What about you?
Yep, Devontae Smith via strikes fairly early. So, yeah, I think this is a showcase fight for Devontae Smith, headlining the prelims, which I don't agree with. I think the next fight should headline it.
Agreed.
Segue.
Yep. Okay, and I agree with you. I didn't mean to cut you off. I totally agree. The next fight that should be headlining the prelims, Rafael Assunção versus Corey Sandhagen at bantamweight. Who you got?
Well, this is a tough one. You know, you're getting a young, streaking Sandhagen versus kind of the old guard in Assunção, who's been in the top 5 forever. But I'm a Sandhagen believer. I think he's tricky on the feet. I think he's incredibly slick on the ground. I'm going to go outside the box and say he's going to submit Rafael Assunção in the second round.
Wow, submit Assunção.
Yes, I think he's tricky enough, and I think he'll win the scrambles. I think Assunção is very basic in his striking.
Woo!
So I think
shots fired from Fight Geek.
Very basic but technically sound striking, in my opinion. And I think Sandhagen will have the length and the creativity on him. So I'm rolling that way.
All right, I got Sandhagen as well. And I also got him by submitting the submission king Assunção, but in the third round. That's it.
Fine.
Okay, moving on. Manny Bermudez versus Casey Kenny. I have got the underdog, Casey Kenny, winning by unanimous decision, and he's the underdog here. What do you think?
I have the favorite, Manny Bermudez, winning by split decision.
Podcast. You got to say that now.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Moving on. Lightweight, Drakkar Klose versus Christos Giagos. Is that how you say it?
I think it's Drakkar and Giagos.
Drakkar. So, it is Drakkar. My bad. I got Drakkar winning this one via unanimous decision.
I have Drakkar winning this one via strikes.
Woo! All right, moving on. Hannah Cifers. This is women's strawweight. Hannah Cifers versus Jody Escabel. I got Cifers. I think she's a very talented fighter, and I got her via stoppage in the first. Is that crazy?
Nope. I have Hannah Cifers as well. I'm not as sure of a stoppage, so I'll take her by unanimous decision.
Moving on, bantamweight, Kyung Ho Kang versus Brandon Davis. I've got Kyung Ho Kang via unanimous decision.
I've got Brandon Davis via strikes.
Okay, I just realized I just jumped on your pick. My bad, so you can definitely choose the last one. Women's flyweight, Sabina Mazo versus Shanna Dobson. Who you got?
I'm going to go with Shayna Dobson here. I think she's got a little better striking. So
Way to light me up on the pronunciation there. Thanks a lot, asshole. Oh, just kidding. Sorry. I got Dobson as well, and I've got her via stoppage as well. Is that it on 241?
I believe so.
Okay, all right, guys. We're going to take a really quick break and then back with listener questions. Hey guys, it's Phil the MMA Dude letting you know that this episode of the Split Decision Podcast is brought to you by TotalAggressionClothing.com. Visit www.TotalAggressionClothing.com and use the promo code 46210 to receive a special Split Podcast discount on all Total Aggression hats, shirts, hoodies, and more. Again, that's www.TotalAggressionClothing.com with promo code 46210. Okay, guys, we are back with the Split Decision Podcast 1-year anniversary episode number 34, here with my brilliant co-host, the Fight Geek. And it is time for my favorite section, ladies and gentlemen, the listener questions.
One thing, though, if you announce me as brilliant again, you have to call me brillianter.
Oh, because I'm already brilliant? Or what do you mean?
No, I'm already brilliant from the first intro.
Oh, get out of here. Just get out of here. Okay, all right. You want me to go?
Yes, please.
Okay, this is from Jacob Powers. This is at Jacob Powers 2. What do you think is the baddest in a good way moment in the UFC? Mine has to be the blood spitting and stare down between Lawler and McDonald in Lawler McDonald 2. I'm going to be honest. I just looked at this question for the first time because he sent this right before we started, and that was the first moment I thought of. I can't even lie about that.
Yeah, just if I'm being, the first thing that came to my mind was Jorge Masvidal bent down, tapping out Ben Askren as he lays bent in half, unconscious with his central nervous system locked up. It's a pretty savage moment.
All right. Very nice. Do you have a question or should I go?
Keep going.
All right, Tristan Evans. This is at Knight Evans 21. That's at KNIGHTEVANS 21. Does DC's legacy change if he fights John a third time and loses, opposed to if he finishes Stipe and retires? I'll let you go first. Go.
No, you please go first.
All right, look, guys, you know if you follow me on Twitter how I feel, but really fast, I do not believe that DC needs a third fight with Jones at all. I believe that John badly needs a third fight with DC, and we can kind of tell that from, Jones' tweeting over the last few days. We all know that Jones badly needs that fight. DC does not need it. The answer is if John and DC fight at heavyweight at the third time, which won't happen because John's scared, but if it's at heavyweight and DC loses, yeah, that's gonna hurt his legacy a lot. If it happens at light heavyweight, I would almost argue, and I want your opinion, Fight Geek, I would argue if the fight happens at light heavyweight and John wins, not only does it not hurt DC's legacy, but it makes John just look like a little feeble coward. Because he's talked about, oh, a move up to heavyweight's inevitable. I'm calling out Francis Ngannou. I'm calling out Brock Lesnar. I'm going to call out Stipe a year ago. But he won't move up to face DC because he's shaking in his boots.
But why do you quote him on that stuff, but not quote him on all the times he says he wants to stay in his own division?
Well, what do you mean? Because I'm quoting him. Because I'm quoting what he said. That's why.
He's saying both things. So why do you cling to the one narrative whenever?
Well, because he's sending out two narratives that are contradicting one another.
But you're only concentrating on one of the narratives.
So why do you even throw it out if he's just being a little bitch and being scared?
I've explained it to you because he's just posturing to poke at DC. I know you don't understand that, but
Jones is a coward. Moving on.
Yes, okay, let's move on. All right, I got a couple of Instagram questions here for us. One from N_Web1212. He says,
Nathan, what up?
If DC wins, then retires, which fight makes the most sense for that vacant heavyweight belt?
Yeah, that's a great question. First and foremost, I really don't think DC will retire if he wins. I think he'll be too tempted to fight Ngannou or Jones. Hopefully not Jones, unless it's at heavyweight, which Jones has made clear won't happen. So hopefully DC will fight Ngannou then to tie that heavyweight defense record. But if DC retires, playing along, if DC retires and wins, which I don't see happening, then I think you have to do Stipe and Ngannou, right?
Yeah, Stipe and Ngannou too,
Or who?
This is a real dark horse, but let's say Walt Harris highlight reel knocks out Alistair Overeem, which was just booked in a main event. He could be a sleeper title contender.
Oh, come.
We've seen everybody else in the heavyweight division. Nobody's going to want to see Stipe off 2 losses fight Ngannou, who that fight was fun, but after about 4 minutes was pretty one-sided.
By the way, and let me just say this, because everyone knows how much of a biased DC fan I am, so let me say something that is non-biased, okay? I don't care who Francis Ngannou fights next, whether it's Stipe, Walt Harris, or DC. I believe Ngannou is getting that W. Just for the record.
Yeah, makes sense. I know Walt Harris is outside the box, but I'm off the top of my head, I can't remember exactly who he beat. I think he beat, who did he knock out recently?
Walt Harris?
Yeah, I think
Don't put me on the spot with a Walt Harris question.
All right, let's keep it moving. I got another Instagram question right here queued up. It's from, who is it from? It is from Neil.Butcher1. He says, if Romero loses to Costa, can you see him fighting again with his age and all that money?
So first and foremost, yeah, good question. Romero, it's my understanding that Romero does not have that money yet. I know that he won a huge lawsuit for a ton of money, but that company that he sued successfully does not have anywhere close to the money that he won. So I don't think that he has...
So it'll be trickling in for the rest of the time.
Yeah. Does Yoel strike you as someone who's obsessed simply with money?
No, but isn't there going to be a UFC Miami card they've been talking about?
They've been talking about it for a while. I don't know if it's...
I can see if Yoel loses, still coming back to do like a UFC Miami fight or something like that with Masvidal on the same card, even on a loss. But if he loses, I think that will push him away from the title talks.
Definitely.
Pretty permanently. He's lost to the champion twice, and then to lose to Costa would pretty much rule him out as a challenger at this point.
Yeah, definitely. I have to agree with you. And can you think of anyone that he would face, if he did lose? I'm looking at the...
if he lost, he could fight someone like an Ian Heinisch if he wins.
Right. I think that's a pretty good pick. Brad Tavares. I mean,
yeah, you don't want to see Brad Tavares and Yoel, do you?
I mean, look, man.
Seems pretty one-sided.
Yeah, I know. Okay. All right, moving on. This is from Chica at Mandanical3. That's at MANDANICOL3. Very, very cool. If you're not following her, guys, highly recommend it. Very, very cool chick here. Does DC need Jones or does Jones need DC? Okay, we kind of touched on this. Long story short, you know how I feel. DC does not need Jones at all after all of this drug cheating. Jones badly needs DC, and I think we can tell that from, the recent tweets, but I'll keep it short. Go, what's your take?
Yeah, I don't think that could be further from the truth. I don't think
Wow.
I don't think either man needs the other for their legacies. John Jones' legacy and what he is set. DC's legacy and what he is set. Are they intertwined? Yes, but their legacies and who they are cannot be shaken at this point, win, lose, or draw.
What's Jones's set legacy? That he's a multiple-time drug cheat phony?
Well, Jones's legacy is that he was a young phenom who turned into one of the greatest champions we've ever seen and greatest talents we've ever seen, have a fall from grace, and now is marred a la Barry Bonds. So, yeah, I mean, whether you believe he's the greatest or not depends on what you think of that asterisk. DC, on the other hand, is a great man, is a great fighter, is a great person whose legacy cannot be changed by John Jones at this point.
Okay. All right. I like that answer. This is from MMA by Milliken. That's at MMA by Milliken at MMABYMILIKIN. Is Daniel Cormier's double champ status more impressive than John Jones' career?
Absolutely not. Barring that asterisk we were just talking about, because DC won his belt from Volkan Oezdemir.
Actually, he won it from Anthony Rumble Johnson. Thanks for playing. But he...
What, the intern? That wasn't the undisputed.
No. He won the title after Jones...
Look it up right now. No, he didn't.
Who did he win the title from? Who did he win the title from?
From Volkan Oezdemir.
What are you talking about, bro? Bro, what are you talking about? He defended... You're saying that he won the belt for the first time against Volkan Oezdemir? Is that what you're saying?
The undisputed, because John had to vacate it when he got in trouble.
Bro, that's some crazy
talk.
I
may be wrong, but
you're not maybe wrong. You're super wrong, like borderline embarrassing, and I don't mean that badly. Won the vacant UFC light heavyweight championship, performance of the night, submission, rear naked choke against Anthony Johnson at UFC 187, May 23rd, 2015.
Another vacant title.
Yeah, and that's because Jones is a drug cheat over and over again.
That's true, but he never beat the true champion to win either of those belts. Did he, or did he not?
How would DC have done if he was allowed to take as much jet fuel as he wanted?
Well, we will never know that. That lies within that gray area. All I'm saying is DC, in my opinion, although great, I'm not trying to diminish him, never took that 205 belt as part of his champ off of the sitting defending champion. Both of them were vacant, and in my opinion, Anthony Rumble Johnson and Volkan Oezdemir are not championship ilk fighters.
Is it Daniel's fault that John Jones
hit an
8-month pregnant woman with his car, almost, and then fled the scene? Is that his fault? My bad.
All right, let's keep this moving.
No, I guess that's DC's fault. I guess that's his fault, right?
On paper is all I'm saying. On paper, I don't think DC's champ is better than the run John Jones has had on paper, considering on paper DC's on Jones's resume basically twice.
Moving on, Pat, don't edit that out. At Pat Tobin, at Pat_Tobin. Where does Romero go if he gets past Costa? With respect, Costa is a step down from his last few opponents and hard to chase a title shot as long as Whitaker is still champ. I love that question. Go ahead.
If he wins, he fights Kelvin Gastelum 100%.
Yeah, I agree. I have to agree there.
And then Kelvin can get a rematch if he beats Romero, but Romero would still need another fight, in my opinion.
Romero would need another fight if he beats Kelvin?
Yes.
Oh, I disagree. I think you make Whitaker Romero 3 at that point.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
Okay.
And then even if Kelvin were to lose that, you could have Israel coming off the loss to Whitaker and run that one back.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, all right, moving on. This is from AK at Killa Keller Flow. After all the recent comments from Jones and Cormier, what are the odds we actually see the trilogy at heavyweight? You go.
What are the odds?
Yeah. Is it happening at heavyweight or not? Go ahead. I really want you to answer this first. I'm smiling so much.
I believe that fight will ever happen at heavyweight. I think.
Why not, though? Wait, why? Say it out loud.
Only because John Jones has said 10 times on the record he doesn't want that fight at heavyweight.
Why does he want it at heavyweight? He said that a move up to heavyweight's inevitable. Is he scared?
It's definitely not scared.
Look at your smile. He's smiling, guys. He knows Jones is terrified. He knows Jones is terrified. Terrified.
But here's my thing. What if he did go out and knock out DC? Would you just stop watching the sport altogether because everything you know would just be false?
I already answered that to someone else. I said I'd have an aneurysm and die and no one would have to worry about me again.
Well, then I guess I would have to root for DC there.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That.
I enjoy the podcast.
Thanks. Not my life or anything, just the podcast. All right, let's move on. Okay, this is at Shed Sports Podcast. Who should Diaz fight after he beats Pettis? And do you think Cormier will retire after his fight?
Who should Pettis fight next?
Who should Diaz fight after if he beats Pettis?
Diaz, yeah. That's really tough to say because Diaz is the kind of guy who doesn't really think too far ahead. I mean, I listened to that same interview that you did. I loved it. I thought it was classic Diaz babble, good stuff always.
Yeah, classic Diaz babble. Yeah, true.
But if you can decipher what he's saying, he's basically saying that, in his own way, he was giving respect to Anthony Pettis. Anthony Pettis' recent performance, the fact that Anthony Pettis has been in the game for a while, former champion, exciting fighter, win, lose, or draw. I think you could take a lot of respect from that interview and the fact that this fight's coming together.
Yeah.
I don't know who Nate will deem worthy of those parameters in the future. He's very picky. I never thought he would have selected Anthony Pettis. So, God only knows who would be next for him in 170. Him versus Masvidal would be amazing, but I don't see that fight being made. So, maybe Conor at 170? I don't know.
Here's my answer. I think that if Diaz beats Pettis, they're going to make Conor versus Diaz 3 at lightweight, at 155.
They're not going to make it at lightweight, dude.
No, they are, because Conor gets not. What he... Oh, because Conor has no pull?
Well, no, they're talking... from what I'm gathering, aren't they... Conor wanted to fight Masvidal at 170.
Conor doesn't... He doesn't want a third go-around with Diaz at 170. We both know that. Come on.
Yeah, well, I think that's... I don't know. I think that would be a fight he'd take at 170. I think cutting weight is a thing of the past, and it's been a long time. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't see Diaz going back to 155 unless he's offered a title fight, which that ain't going to happen.
No, but he'll be up. A McGregor fight is practically a title fight, especially money-wise.
But both of those fights have happened at 170. It wouldn't be a true trilogy at 155, and both of them know it. Conor was making all that noise. I want the same this, the same that. 170 for the rematch. Why wouldn't I? It would make no sense for him to really want that rematch at 170 and then for the tiebreaker to get it 155.
Don't you remember after UFC 202, McGregor kept saying, and we're going to do it at 55. I came up to 70 twice.
Yeah, he was also saying that he gave up like 40 pounds to Nate Diaz in that same
He probably
soundbite, right?
did.
No, he didn't. Okay,
All
we
right.
can agree to disagree there.
All right.
I see that fight's a 170 fight.
All right. Moving on. This question is from Fighting With Myself podcast at FWM_POD. Juice. What's up, Juice? Love Juice. In your opinion, what is the biggest challenge the UFC faces with building new stars? Go.
Not marketing them correctly to their true character. It takes someone like Kamaru Usman until he's a champion to get any light shined on really his story. Same, it takes like a Francis Ngannou being like a once in a generation specimen to get any shine. I think it's just they're not concerned about building stars from the ground up. They're more or less kind of let them just go, and whoever gains traction, they hop on later. I don't feel like they were pushing Darren Till super hard before he got that Cowboy fight, and then all of a sudden Darren Till was the hottest thing since PB&J. I had never heard of Darren Till for his first 3 fights. Same with Colby Covington. They don't really push these guys until they get traction, which can be a slow build. That's my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, so you said essentially everything I agree with, but you didn't hit the nail on the head. I think the problem is they keep rushing people. They're rushing people.
Yeah.
That's their issue with building stars. They rushed Darren Till into the Woodley fight, which he was not ready for. They keep rushing people into bigger fights than they're ready for. Kevin Lee is arguably another example.
Like Leon Edwards, who is technically ready for a big fight, can't get one. So yeah, again, they don't know how to build the stars because I think winning builds stars. The more you win, GSP isn't. The first part of his career was pretty exciting, but the latter part of his career, he was the biggest pay-per-view draw, and he was fairly boring. He was,
I wasn't even aware that you could live in Canada and not know English until I knew of GSP.
Does he not know English?
For a while, he could barely speak English. For a long time.
Right. Either way, I just think it's a slow build. They wait, unless, Dana has never been super great at building stars. Most of the biggest stars that have ever come through the UFC were built before they got there. Ronda Rousey's from Strikeforce. Conor McGregor's a foreign import from
Cage Warriors.
DC's from Strikeforce. Who are some of the biggest stars? Even now, Masvidal's a Strikeforce guy. If you want to talk about who knows how to build stars, I think Scott Coker technically has a track record of building stars better than Dana. When Dana inherited the UFC, they already had Randy Couture and Tito Ortiz. He didn't develop those stars either. Matt Hughes was already there. I guess you could say he somewhat developed GSP.
John Jones, I hate to say it.
John Jones is probably the number one developed UFC homegrown talent, but John Jones isn't the biggest pay-per-view star of all time. He's always been an upper tier guy, but he's not a megastar. My mom doesn't know who John Jones is.
And she shouldn't learn.
Right, but my mom knows who Ronda Rousey and Conor McGregor are.
Right, exactly. Okay, so really quickly, I think this is one of my last questions. This is from Mixta Doodoo, that's at Mixtaman, at MICKSTAMAN. Discuss the ESPN era. Do you see it building crossover stars, pulling in casual fans? What's been its positive and or negative impact on the sport and fighters thus far? And do you want to take that first?
Yeah, I actually have enjoyed the ESPN era personally so far. I think you saw in Masvidal's the best example. He had that 5-second flying knee knockout of Askren in the ESPN era, and I think you saw him get more of a social push and rub from that than you ever would have seen in the previous eras of broadcasting. I think more eyes saw it, then it gets more highlights on ESPN, and then it's on ESPN's social channels, and then he's touring ESPN on the Dan Le Batard show. So I think you're seeing all the dots of the entertainment portion start to kind of align, in my opinion.
Yeah, the biggest drawback, I agree with all that. The biggest drawback, I'll say, is definitely on the pay-per-views. Let's not forget that, starting with UFC 237, Namajunas versus Andrade, they stopped reporting the pay-per-view numbers. That can't be a good sign. It really can't be.
That is one way to look at it, but off the top of my head, I was reading, I believe Lawler versus Colby Covington was ranked third in their demographic on ESPN, so that was actually a number they were happy with. I don't know a lot about.
Whoa! That card did horrible numbers. What do you mean? That card did horrible numbers.
Well, I don't think you're accurate there.
I know that it was the lowest performing card of the ESPN, the UFC on ESPN cards.
Well, relative to what everybody else was watching that day, it wasn't that bad. So.
Okay, all right. You guys heard it from Fight Geek. Okay.
Unless I misread the article.
All right, and then this was from Dusty at DustyBalls08. Since Dana said no title shot, what's next for Masvidal? And my answer is 2 words: Leon Edwards.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make much sense for Masvidal to look back at that fight, but it has all the storylines. I personally believe Leon Edwards is an elite fighter, even if he's not all that spectacular to watch. I think he's very, 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 very good. And I may even favor him in that fight. So it would be a great fight to watch, but I think Masvidal's stock is way too high to look back right now.
So where does he go if he doesn't fight Edwards?
Well, like I said, if Nate Diaz wins this weekend, you could have, Masvidal versus Nate Diaz, even though it's not a title fight, does a lot more for Masvidal than fighting Leon Edwards.
Agreed. That would be a sick fight.
Right, and it could be a main event. Both guys get paid.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's going to be options for him. Masvidal is going to reach this new stratosphere where it's going to be a title fight or money fight because of how big he got off that knockout, in my opinion.
Agreed. Okay, all right. So you got any more questions, or is that it?
I think that does it for this week.
All right. Take it away, Fight Geek.
All right, guys. As usual, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Play, Stitcher, and more. I'm at the Fight Geek MMA. He's at Phil the MMA Dude. We are at Split_podcast. It's 4 words. The Split Decision Podcast. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next week.
Peace.
Peace.